and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. Now, today is the 22nd of April, but the 26th of April is World Intellectual Property Day, and the theme this year is Powering Change, Women in Innovation and Creativity. There are a number of organizations that are already celebrating the women in innovation, but one of them that will be doing this the whole of this week, and that is starting from tomorrow, the 23rd of April, is Uganda Registration Services Bureau, URSB. And I'm delighted that they made the time to join us today in the studio to speak about women in innovation. So let me welcome my first guest for tonight, who is Mercy Kinobwisho, who is the Director in charge of Intellectual Property at URSB. Welcome, Mercy.
Thank you, Josephine, and good evening, viewers.
All right, great. And the other guest that I have today is Irene Mutesi Musoke, who works with Women in Technology Uganda. Mercy, what do you do? Irene, what do you do at Women in Technology in Uganda?
I'm the hub manager for Women in Technology Uganda.
Okay. All right, great. So you know about this week as well?
Yes.
Will you have activities as well?
Basically, we will not be having any activities because currently we are an incubation hub.
Okay.
The incubation hub is where we nurture those activities, so therefore they are broadcasted by URSB at the end of it all.
All right. Well, tell me about the activities that you're going to have, Mercy.
Thank you, Josephine. Every year, the 26th of April, we join the rest of the world in celebrating of World Intellectual Property Day. And this is a day that was started by the World Intellectual Property Organization, which is the global organization, UN agency that oversees intellectual property and has about 191 countries, of which Uganda is a member state.
Okay.
And locally here, the National Intellectual Property Office is Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And among other things, apart from intellectual property, register businesses, we license places of worship, we conduct civil marriages, and also do business rescues. But this today we will specifically talk about intellectual property and innovation.
Okay, well, before we get into today's, I wanted you to tell me about the activities that you'll be carrying out this week, but I think we'll get to that. So before we begin our conversation, I'd like to set the stage and just have a picture of what is happening within our Uganda. A lot of us sit here and think, do we actually have innovators? Do we have young creative minds that are out there doing these awesome and wonderful things, you know? But before we begin, let's define innovation. And the definition that I got is that innovation simply means the act or process of introducing new ideas, devices or methods. And I'm sure many of us are grateful for people like that, innovators who make our lives just a little bit simpler. Yeah. So let's take a look at one of those innovators that I managed to meet this week, Zila. At the age of 21, while at the university studying computer engineering, Zila, with a group of friends, came up with a design for a competition. That design became the innovation that now makes life a lot simpler for the farmers who know about it.
They sell their maize at 300 shillings a kilo, and then someone in Kampala is buying it at is selling it to another off-take at 1.2. Now that's difference. And when you ask them, do they know where to sell? They don't know the market information. They don't have market information to know that, no, let me first store, and then there's a good market, like in Busia that sells at 700. These guys didn't have this information.
This is the innovation they came up with, Easier Greek.
So our innovation, Easier Greek, looks at from input to the output, to the market. So how does it work? First thing first. Just like the way you go to a bank and your profile, the bank wants to know about your KYC. For us as a Koron, we want to know about your KYF as a farmer. So Easier Greek provides for that. We map out your garden, GPS mapping, and we get the exact acreage of your land. Why do we do that? We're not interested in knowing your land title and all that. We're interested in knowing the garden, the land you're using for farming. So that at the time when you are making a decision for you to buy inputs on the very same app, we know how many acres you have, and then we recommend how many kilograms, for example, of maize you're supposed to have in 1 acre. So when it comes to like diagnosis, So you have to choose the crop that you are working with.
Okay, so
To
we're
get-
still looking at cabbage.
Okay, let's still look at cabbage. So I've brought like now the symptoms of the various diseases.
A farmer can easily find out the accurate acreage of their garden, buy genuine inputs from the app, watch videos about soil testing, insurance, and sell their produce to off-takers using the same app. Agri-businesses can also use the same app to easily predict demand and supply. For example, a buyer of the produce can see how much quantity is available to be bought in a far-off district. A bank can provide loans to these farmers who use the app because their information is all on the app.
If you've bought your seed, you've planted, you've had access to the extension, you know how to plant, at the end of the day, we should be assured of a market. So on the very same app, we have exporters and off-takers who have signed up to buy produce from the farmers who use the app. So we're not only solving one value chain problem, like a problem in a specific area of the value chain, because that's not how agriculture work. You can't give someone good seed and then don't assure them of the market. You can't give them good seed and then their practice is wrong. They plant it late, so they don't have access to weather information. So that's what we have done as a Corion on Easy Agric.
So Zilla says they're working with over 60,000 farmers so far, and 42,000 of them are already digitally profiled. Let me also say that Zilla was crowned the overall Young Achiever of the Year 2017 for Best Innovation in Agriculture. When I met Zilla, I was really impressed by what the young people are doing. It's not every day that we hear about all of these things, but you people work in this industry, so you hear all kinds of stories and you meet all these people. What are the most intriguing innovations you've heard of so far, for example?
Basically, I will look at it in the version for the women,
Yeah.
because for us, we are basically a women in tech innovation hub. So, for example, there are about four phenomenal women that I'll talk about who have done very good innovations.
For example?
For example, there is Philip Chomhendo. She did the M-scan, and that was also recognized internationally.
What is that?
M-scan is a tool, an ultrasound tool that is able to check the babies in the womb in low resource areas. For example, for people who cannot afford the ultrasound scans, they can use that tool to be able to check the baby, and it has helped to help mothers at the end of the day in those low resource areas avoid preterm deaths,
Okay.
know what to do with their pregnancies, which I think is a very good thing, and this was innovated in Uganda by a lady.
Okay.
The other one would be Terry. There is Terry Kamsime. Terry did the Matatu app, the one that is on Android phones,
Yeah.
under Cola Studios, which everyone actually uses at the end of the day to relieve stress. Matatu, the usual Matatu that we had.
I think I've seen it, yes.
Yes, it was done by a Ugandan and a woman at that, which I think is very impressive.
Okay.
There's also Bonita Nanziri. She did an app for sickle cells, whereby someone can detect whether they have sickle cells. So if we are looking at challenges that we are facing in our community, and these are innovations that are helping to solve those challenges, and these are women-based ideas, I think we are doing a good job.
We're doing quite
here.
well. We
Yes.
just don't get
Yes.
that information
No.
often.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Thank you, Josephine. Yes, in view of the World Intellectual Property celebrations, we are looking at women in creativity and innovation,
Yes.
and I'm glad these examples keep coming up. Yes, Zilla's application is a computer program that is protected under the law, under the copyright and neighboring rights law, and many of these innovations are categorized and protected in different classes, as we will discuss. And there are those groundbreaking innovations and inventions, and some of these relate to agriculture, others relate to health, others relate to the music industry, others relate to art and decor. Innovation is in all aspects. And the most recent one is by a gentleman, an application also in the agriculture sector, where his application determines the number of cattle on your farm. You know, many of us have cattle, have goats, have all these animals,
Livestock?
but we don't know the number. And or even the workers lie to us about the numbers. But when you take this application onto the farm, it will tell you how many cows there are, and already people are using it. And the other beauty with that application is it also determines the sick livestock and those that are yet to be sick.
The ones
So
on their way.
yes, the ones on their way. It's so amazing that I had to challenge this applicant who also won an African and Global Award. What about human beings? Can you do for us something like that? And he's back to the lab and doing the research and development. And many other applications in the field of health. There are applications where there's no doctor. You log on to the hospitals that are nearby, or what you can do if you feel sick, if you got a headache. And we have so many young men and women out there doing these applications. Some are in our databases, others are yet to be in our databases.
When you say young men and women, I'm curious to know about how the women are doing in light of the fact that the theme is powering change, women in innovation. How are the women doing when it comes to innovation? Do we have the numbers? Do we have the interest?
Thank you, Josephine. Yes, we continue to see an increase in the number of women innovating. And this is also envisaged in the international reports, which recently reported that Ugandan women are the most entrepreneurial women in the world.
We questioned that, though, but
yes, and when it comes to innovation, we are looking at the research, women in research. We're looking at the women in the music industry. We're enjoying music by women. We're looking at the women that decorate our functions and beautify all these places, interior designing. We're looking at women in the fashion industry. We're looking at women and agriculture, as already stated, in science, women in science. We continue to see women that have brands. We have big brands already that are owned by women, brands for products and processes. So we have so many of them, and we have all these databases that show that this is owned by women, by women, or if it's not owned, the business even is run by women. So we have so many women that are coming on board.
I mean, from your end, are the women doing as well as what we are seeing registered with URSP?
Not really. For example, recently we've been running a program whereby we were calling upon women in tech who have innovation ideas that are solving a social challenge. A social challenge could be anything that you're solving in any department. However, we were so thrilled to see that we could not even get raised about 50 applicants. They were not there.
You were disappointed. You couldn't raise 50.
We could not raise 50. So we felt that is an untapped resource in Uganda that we could really embark on as women in technology. And at the moment, we're going to have an accelerator program this year, whereby we will need people to come and give us those ideas, and we give them a platform. And at the end of the day, we incubate that idea. It can be a team. However, it is to be basically majorly women. For example, you can look at when you finish your university, you did a project, you did a dissertation, and after getting the marks, you shelved it.
You don't even know what happens to it.
You don't know what happens to it. But yet, remember, these dissertations and projects are actually solving a social challenge in our communities. And then you come out and you get distinction 1, you passed highly, you're like, I passed my project. So,
but then you're on the street and you have
and you're looking for a job, and you had a team that was doing that. So we are nurturing such individuals who think they have very good ideas to come, and we give them a platform. We shall give them the trainers, we shall give them the technical skills, the leadership. We shall be able to incubate these ideas until they are realistic ideas. At the end of the day...
Before you come in, Mercy, I'm afraid that my inbox is going to be full. And so do I direct all of these people to you?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they're young women, as long as they're women and young girls, we will be, okay, we do not mind as long as the team that you have, they could be some men because they could also play a role in that same, but it should have some women on board.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Matthew.
Yes, just to build on that, there's a lot of research that is developed by universities and research and development institutions, and this information should be used to build a knowledge economy. It should be used for development, not for shelving.
Yeah.
And this is the message that we put out there, that you develop this information, you make research that is intended to solve a local challenge. Get it out of the books and make it practical. In fact, in some other entities or universities or research institutions, they do that as projects, practical projects. Apart from submitting your research proposal, you are expected to run it as a project. And this contributes to the economy through a knowledge development and development, commercialization of some of those products and processes of the research.
When I think back to my dissertation at the university, I don't know if, if it's an idea that would work for now, but then, yes, you really make a strong point that our dissertations are sitting somewhere, and they had great ideas, because we took time and did all this research, and that was it. After being graded, that's where they stopped. Well, let's take a short break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back. We are coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, Nile Room, and we're talking about women in technology ahead of the World Intellectual Property Day that is on the 26th of April. Now, I wanted to know, so most of the ideas that you both come across, are we just reinventing the wheel, or do we actually have some new stuff that, you know, people have not thought of before?
Yes, we have some new stuff. People are really, really creative, because at the end of the day, these innovations are looking at solving our community challenges. Basically, every day someone comes out of university, everyone interfaces different challenges, and through that we have different innovations that are actually helping to solve these challenges. People have great ideas, I believe, but once they are not nurtured to become realistic, they remain ideas.
So you don't have people who are just copying from what they just saw somewhere?
Of course, those copying are there, but the message out there is, if you copy somebody's work, you are infringing and you're liable to the penalties under the law. But coming back to whether there are new innovations or inventions out here in Uganda, yes, every day we see many innovations and inventions, and this is because the world thrives on creativity and innovation. Whatever we do, whatever we enjoy today was an idea from somebody's thoughts. Look at the way the telephone works. Yeah. The telephones that we use have over 1,000 patents just to come up with a telephone, a mobile telephone. Then the brand name of a telephone is also creativity, an iPhone, a Samsung. The naming is part of commercialization. Then the tones that come with it are also part of creativity and innovation. Yeah. When a phone rings, you will know that this is an iPhone, this is Samsung, this is a Nokia, this is what other phones that have run out, because we are used now to Samsung and Techno. And that is part of creativity and innovation. So every day, new ideas are being born. Some are shelved, some are developed to a certain stage, others are commercialized. And we have a challenge from development stage of the innovations and creative works to registration. Many people miss the step of registration where we come in as URSB. And
I'm going to ask you about that, because one of the things that I picked from Zila when I was having the conversation with her was some of the challenges that they have, the young innovators. And I'd like for us to play that clip where she talks about some of the challenges that she had and her team, and maybe they can set the stage for where our conversation is going to go. Let's have that clip playing.
There have been challenges in terms of technology adoption. There have been challenges in terms of protecting our innovation and the idea. There have been you see, something I've learned in our country, that people want to copy exactly what you're doing, even not understanding the challenge that you're trying to solve, and they want to just replicate it somewhere. And then also we have issues where clearly I would say we are better than many players, even external players, foreigners, but you find that there are some partners who will choose to work with a company in the UK rather than a company in Uganda. So we have also had a little bit of trust, but with time we have seen it get better since 2015.
So when you have these young people with great ideas, you know, but then their work, how do you help them, for example, at URSB and you guys as well, to protect their ideas?
Yes, as Uganda Registration Services Bureau, we have the infrastructure for protection of these works. And one of the ways is we have very good laws that relate to protection of the works. But even before protection, we give the pre-registration advice, or we call it even examination. We examine and have interviews with the applicants or the owners of those works on what they are. And we also search our databases, because we have the databases of all the applications or the creative and innovative works that have been registered, ranging from the patents, the inventions, the books, the apps, and many more. We have all that database. So when we find that there's nothing confusingly similar and nothing of such has been done, we advise the client to go ahead. And apart from enabling and creating an enabling environment for registration, we also go out there to talk to the people. We have had offices in up-country stations. We have had partnerships with the innovation hubs. We have so many innovation hubs in Kampala and outside Kampala, and we encourage them to come to us. We put even our information on our websites and Facebook pages, and we call upon all these young people to come and register. In addition to the business, we also operate mobile business clinics. If you have an innovation hub and you have young people gathered there, even at universities, we come and camp there and tell you what is required. We give you all the information. We have the manuals, simplified manuals, which some we have translated.
How do I register? What does it take?
Registration, Josephine, depends on the class of where your innovation and creativity falls. We have different classes of intellectual property. We have the trademarks, which relates to brands, and names, slogans, the sense, the sound, all those that identify your goods or differentiate your goods from your competitors or any other person. So those are trademarks. And then we also have the patents. Patents are things that have not been done anywhere. These are new inventions that are there to solve a particular local challenge or even international challenge, like a process of manufacturing something or even a drug. So there are process innovations or inventions, and when we establish that is not within our databases, we also advise the client accordingly. Then we have utility models. Utility models are petty patents. They are there to they're improvements to existing products and processes. Let's say we used to have those phones that used to make noise. Okay. They dial the size of the phone, but somebody comes up with a smaller phone,
the mobile phone.
A mobile phone or a touch phones. It's an improvement to an existing product. So okay. We protect it as a utility model. Then we have industrial designs. Industrial designs relate to the ornamental beauty of a product, like the shape of a bottle. It can be protected. The shape of Renzori water can be protected. The shape of Coca-Cola, the shape of any drink. It relates to your product, and it's part of the packaging. It can be even a fashion, your style. The way you have made the dress for the fashion designers. Okay. They come up with all these creative works, and some people are copying and pasting, but without the knowledge.
Do you ever get people who actually come and say my work was copied, and then what happens?
Yes, yes, we have so many that do apply and come to us, and we advise whether it qualifies, first of all, and whether it has been done elsewhere. There's a test that we use, and whether it is confusingly similar. And when we find that the works have been infringed, because we also have copyright as the other category, which protects artistic, literary, and scientific works, like the music industry and the book literary works. So when we find there's an infringement, we go ahead, we have an enforcement team that we engage within our office and advise to go to the field and either seize the infringing materials, sensitize the people about the imitation that is not good, the piracy, the making of copies of products, the counterfeiting, substandard goods, and all that. We come in handy to advise what is right and what is wrong with the applications. And
Irene, when you have these young innovators, do you give them this information, for example, about infringement? Is this something that they go through?
Yes.
Or does somebody come with an idea and you're able to say, we need to check and see before we begin to develop this, if we are not?
Basically, since we are dealing with ideas that haven't been nurtured to reality, when we get those ideas and then they are to be nurtured to reality, that is when they can be registered under the patents and all those. We first nurture them, and after nurturing them, we advise them when we are giving them a startup capital. That is when they go ahead to register these ideas. Basically, the fact that we have been in society of innovation, there are ideas that we will not be able to take on because those are things that have been done already.
Yeah, but
so
then
we
to
try
wait
to
until a certain point, isn't it, to just, you know?
No, what I'm trying to say is the fact that we have seen majority of the innovation ideas that have been there in society. So when these people come to approach us, we do a screening process. We screen these ideas to see what is different about this person's idea before they're actually incubated into a reality. So that from that, we are able to remove those ideas that have been already there in the market. So we don't give them a chance, not that we don't give them a chance, but we consider those that are new on board, that are there to be given a reality. Yes. Yeah.
We always advise the partners out there in the private sector to and the innovation hubs to always contact our offices before they even come up with a product, because you can tell us what you want to come up with. I want to develop this application which is going to do this. And because we have the databases of what is registered, we can advise to go ahead, because, you know, reinventing the wheel, especially when it comes to patents and utility models, somebody spends a lot of time in the lab doing research. And this research has been done elsewhere. It is better to approach. We have even technology, innovation, and support centers within our office and within research and development institutions. We have one at URI, we have at NARO, we have many at universities. And this is helps you to access all the databases, especially in the patent and utility model space. And it informs whether what you're researching has been done before. Because recently we threw out many applications. Somebody comes, they've spent 5 years developing an application or developing a process. And we said this was done in the United States 20 years ago. It is in our database. 20 years ago, something that appears to be new to you. So it's better we are approached. Where we have offices everywhere, but you can also use a lawyer next to you, because lawyers are there to help out, to bring it to our offices. But our offices are always available and open. You'll waste a lot of time, a lot of resources, only to find that you're doing something that was done. Yes, that was done.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, one of my directors has consistently reminded me to ask about the music industry and when it comes to copyright, because there seems to be quite a big problem there. And I think we'll start from there right after. Welcome back. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, Nile Room. So before we took the break, I'd mentioned about the music industry. What's happening on that front? How is the music industry protected? How is one artist's music protected from, you know, copy infringement?
Thank you, Josephine. The music industry it continues to grow in Uganda from what we see, the music that comes out every day, the new artists that come on board, the women and the men, and the legal protection of music is the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Law of 2006, which replaced a 1964 law. And under this law, it provides that any musical work, as long as it has been expressed, expression in this sense we mean it has been sung, and doesn't matter the quality, and it's attributed to you, Josephine, you have sung a song, even if it's in your bathroom, it's attributed to you, it is automatically protected. And that is how even international law that regulates copyright is the Berne Convention. But Uganda goes ahead to provide an extra within the law that you may go ahead to register your work. And why should you register your work? For evidential purposes, the fact that there's a lot of piracy will be here, we come up with a nice song, and before you know it, Josephine is running around to register it. So that's why we ask them to register. But registration is not mandatory. But those who choose to register, you make an application, which is 50,000 Uganda shillings. Then we publish you in the Uganda Gazette. The Uganda Gazette is run by the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation, which is a government paper. And we wait for 60 days. If there's no objection to that, then we give you a certificate. Okay. You don't have to pay for that. So that is how, I mean, many people want to enter into contracts, want to enter into the arrangements with telephone companies to use their ringtones, their songs as ringtones. So many a times those agencies that enter into those contracts want to prove that that is your work, you have a registration certificate. Okay.
And do we know that? Do our artists know that? Do Ugandans know that? Because regardless of all the wonderful things that you've mentioned that are in place to help them, to support them and protect them, this is a thing that continues to come up.
Yes, I must say that we have, to a big extent, done the role of publicity out there, engaging the print and online electronic media. But of course, sensitization you can never reach an extent and say, oh, I've done enough sensitization. So it's continuous because we have new incoming artists, we have even the old ones, and there are many transactions that keep taking place around the music industry. Okay. And there's also a problem of piracy where people make, before you release copies your album, they make copies. And you know, the public should know that the making of unauthorized copies of my album, of Baby Cool's album, of Chameleon's album, of Irene Ntali's album is an infringement. And there are penalties under the law. And also to enhance the compliance, we have the intellectual property enforcement team that goes out to the field. If we get any information from Baby Cool or any artist that my music is being copied, there are many cities downtown or even uptown, we go and get them out and arrest the people that are infringing.
Do you think enough Ugandans care enough to actually come and report and say, look, we are having, my music is being used, or my idea was stolen, or are they afraid of the process? What is it?
We continue to see many Ugandans reporting, not only in the music sector, but also for products. Many people do make copies of water, or consumables, electricals. So when we get complaints, because at the end of the day, Josephine, intellectual property is a private right. It's like you own your own land. So it's your property. When you don't complain to government, government will not know what is happening. So we encourage the public, if you know that your product or your process is being infringed upon, come to our offices. When a report is made, we move into action. And we have seen us in the media seizing many products that have, even books that have been pirated. And we will do that because we are here to protect the person who invests time, who invests money and energy in creativity. Otherwise, we'll not have creators, we'll not have innovators if the work that is created is stolen within minutes through the channels that are known by the infringers.
How can technology transfer be used to improve innovation?
Technology transfer is basically using the information or the technology that is developed in developed or developing states here in our developing states. And it can relate to any field, let's say a process or of curing something, or a machine of processing, plowing, planting at the same time. So if that technology is out there, you do not have to invent the wheel here. There are arrangements where even if technology has been protected, it has a period of expiration.
Okay.
For example, if it's a patent, it has validity of 20 years, and all this work goes into the public domain. And we have databases that show all this technology that has been developed in those states and can be used here. You look at a technology in China, if you want to use it and it's still valid and protected, you can get a license to come and use it in Uganda, and even a license even to improve it or adjust it to the local needs. If it has expired, our databases will show, and you will not need even authorization because it's out there in the public domain. You look at what was used, the information that was used, the machinery that was used, and you use the same to improve our local situations. So we encourage, many states have developed and have even leapfrogged to the middle income status by using technology transfer, where you don't have to put a lot of resources, but use the technology that has succeeded elsewhere and apply it and bring it home.
I think we need to get more and more of this information out there, because it's probably just a few people that have it and actually know what they can and what they cannot do. But Irene, what are you doing to help young women in innovation?
Currently, we have an accelerator program at Women in Technology, Uganda. When you come to us and you say you have an idea to improve something, or through technology, you innovate something through technology, we can actually give you a platform. We have a number of mentors. We have tech guiders who are there to help. We have leadership bodies that you can look at, and that can help you to nurture your idea to something better. Then if the idea has been incubated, we give you space of up to a year where you can be able to, we give you that platform, you come to the offices, you have...
So you have office
free,
space?
Yes, we have.
With everything that I need, internet and whatever?
Everything. You just come with your idea, we attach you to mentors, we attach you to the right programmers, depending on what innovation you're trying to do.
And if it's not already been?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And then after, we shall even give you seed capital to make sure that it is realized, it is started. So when it's up and running, we monitor it and make sure we follow up on how it is going. And we can even give you more funding to see that it is something that is a reality here. Because at the end of the day, we believe that these ideas are the ones that are going to help us to solve our local challenges in our local communities, thus creating employment, thus creating development. It's such an untapped resource that is really vital for our communities.
Sorry, may I add something on technology transfer? A recent example is we entered arrangements with the Korean Patent Office, because intellectual property office always are in touch with each other globally. And they wanted to develop a technology that dries seedlings or agricultural products within a framework where we are affected by the weather all the time. Sometimes it rains, and storage of agricultural products has been a challenge. So we linked them to Makerere University, and they recently, in December, they established a dryer in this place on Gaza Road, the Agriculture Center of Makerere University, Kabanyuro. It's so big, it is a tent, glass, with solar panels, and you just place with shells, you just place the beans, the maize, the whatever is that needs to be dried. And it is regulated under the solar temperatures, and it replaces the sunlight. And this enables the agriculture sector. You don't have to wait for the sun or
The
keep
seasons.
seeds that are not dry, and has worked so well.
That's brilliant.
Yes. So.
Okay. Well, I'd like you both to give it as quickly as you can, because my time is fast spent. Your closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Irene. What would you like us to take home from this conversation?
I want you to know that at the end of the day, the idea starts with you. If you can be a leader out there who can come and create an innovation that can help our communities, we are here to support. We are here to nurture that concept, the idea that you have. We can even go as far as giving you the seed capital to start it, to make it a reality. So if we do not start, who will? So we need to encourage ourselves to make sure, most especially the women out there, because they believe this is a job or professional for the men, but as you can see, it is not something that is time consuming. You can do it at your time, you can balance yourself, and also creating innovation in your career, and you're out there, you're helping.
Well, thank you very much, Irene, and I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to hearing from you
Yes.
what your innovation is. I'm hoping you'll whisper in my ear at the end of this. Mercy, your
Thank you,
final
Josephine,
words.
and thank you, Irene.
Yes.
Yes, we, as a developing state, which looks forward to the middle income status and job creation and development of our economy, we have the technology that we may need, the technology infrastructure, and we continue to develop it as a nation. We have the information that is available out there in our offices at Uganda Registration Services Bureau and research and development institutions, academic institutions. We have the we have tried all communications channels to get on board to inform almost those that are concerned. We have many young people that need to be supported, especially with human capacity development. There are even arrangements for training. Those opportunities, we encourage the young people to position themselves for that. For us to create a knowledge economy, we must be creative, we must be innovative, or else we will perish. And to the women out there, in the fact that this year the World Intellectual Property Day is meant to promote their works, please come to our, we will invite the women, some have already got the invitations. On the 26th of April, we'll be visiting some women even before in the factories, their hubs, to appreciate what they have done. We are here to empower them, we are here to motivate them, we are here to amplify their work, and we will continue to work to ensure that we create an environment that enables creativity and innovation in Uganda. And thank you, Josephine. I'm looking forward to your...
To my idea.
Your
I'll be
idea.
coming to see you. Thank you very much, both of you, for
Yes.
taking the time to
Yeah.
share with us. This has been very insightful. It's been a teaching moment for me. And that's it from us this week. Thank you for joining us. Coming up is NT.